Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Puget Sound Stormwatch on YouTube. My name is Anthony. I am your host. Today is September 15th. We're looking at extremely pleasant conditions west of the Cascade Mountains today. Hardly a cloud in the sky and not even that much haze. I would like to apologize in advance for no videos the last 2 days. Spent a lot of time with family, so I've been away from the computer, away from headquarters, and so that is the rationale behind it. Fantastic news for most of Washington State at this time, especially areas west of the Cascades. We're seeing really good air quality conditions at the moment. There's a lot of moderate and some unhealthy for sensitive groups east of the Cascades, but for the most part, greatly improved air conditions all around the Pacific Northwest. These great air quality conditions can greatly be attested to less erratic fire behavior in the last 48 hours or so. As we zoom in here on the Perry Fire in northern Whatcom County, you see it's up to 40% containment now. It is just shy of 1,800 acres with no known growth in the last 24 hours, which is great news. As we bounce over to the Olympic Peninsula here, the Tunnel Creek Fire burning just southwest of Quilcene is at 290 acres as of 21 hours ago, with only 17 acres of 24-hour growth. However, remains at 0% containment. Its big sister, the Bear Gulch Fire, is approaching 11,000 acres here soon, and has only grown 8 acres over the last 24 hours, remaining at 9% containment. As we bounce over to the Mount Rainier area with the Wildcat Fire, this has experienced traumatic growth in the last 24 hours, 397 acres, just shy of 8,500 acres in total size, and remains at 8% containment. Up here at the Labor Mountain Fire, just west of Blewett Pass, 5% contained, approaching 5,000 acres, and has grown 135 acres in the last 24 hours. Lower Sugarloaf Fire, just northeast of Leavenworth, one of the largest fires in Washington State at the moment, behind the Rattlesnake Fire, well east of here. This is at 11% containment, a little bit shy of 17,300 acres, and has grown almost 1,000 acres in the last 24 hours. This was updated 17 hours ago. One of the smaller fires here on the west side, the Red Mountain Fire burning near Glacier Peak, is at 58 acres as of a day ago, with no known growth and no known containment. There are also a few little tiny fires burning up here near Stevens Pass as well. We have the Nimbus Fire that's been active for 2 days, only 1 acre, thankfully. We have the Jade Fire down here, a little bit to its southwest, no known size or containment. And a couple other smaller fires here. This is the Huckleberry Fire near Goat Mountain on the east slopes of the Cascades. 2 acres in size, but no known growth or containment since this was updated. The 18Z HER3KM model shows not a lot of wildfire smoke around the Pacific Northwest over the next 48 hours. Wants to keep some of this fire smoke around the larger fires, but it quickly dissipates back out towards the west when we get that offshore flow tomorrow, and then quickly shifting back out towards the east once that frontal feature starts to move in Wednesday. The same forecast, however, does want to mix a bit of this smoke down towards the surface in the foothills and some lowland areas, especially north of Everett here. However, that will quickly dissipate off to the north on Wednesday. It's time for a couple of updates from the National Weather Service in Seattle. I've just been notified that as of 12:52 p.m. today, the fire weather watch that was in effect for much of western Washington near the Cascades and east of I-5 has been upgraded to a red flag warning, now in effect for a lot of this area. Shows it here, in effect from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. tomorrow. Gusty winds and low relative humidity as low as 25 to 30%, with east winds 15 to 30 miles per hour sustained, with local gusts up to 45, perhaps even as high as 50 miles per hour for some isolated areas. And it shows that these will be greatest along the gaps from the Cascades along I-90 and US 2, and around Enumclaw, the Cowlitz River Valley, and even some areas down along the Nisqually as well. In addition, the foothills from Stevens Pass all the way down to the Nisqually River Valley are now under a wind advisory, in effect from 3 a.m. Tuesday to midnight Tuesday night. So, showing the same thing, east winds 10 to 20 miles per hour sustained, with wind gusts 35 to 45 miles per hour expected, with isolated gusts up to 50 miles per hour possible along ridgetops and mountain gaps. This is in effect from foothills and valleys all the way from Enumclaw up to Highway 2 and Stevens Pass. So, thing to note that during this time of the year, we are very dry and trees are not used to wind, especially east wind. So even smaller wind gusts of this magnitude, which are considered lower end for a lot of these areas, can do some serious damage. To see exactly why these east winds are happening, we have to go and look at the ECMWF deterministic, also known as the European model. This is the 12Z, showing height anomalies at 500 millibars, 18,000 feet. You see this deep red contour up here, that's our ridge filling in. We also have this upper level trough, a strong one, clipping us a few hundred miles off the coast. But what this ridge is going to do is it's going to induce a thermal trough west of the Cascades and induce higher pressure near the surface to the east of the Cascades. Now, wind will move from higher pressure to lower pressure. So the greater that the pressure gradient is, or the difference in pressure is across the mountains, then the stronger the winds are going to be as they're pulled through the mountain gaps. This is mean sea level pressure anomalies. And it shows a huge area of surface high pressure here east of the Cascades and this developing thermal trough off the coast of Oregon that moves up the I-5 corridor and will move out in a matter of a day before high pressure fills back in off the coast and the onshore flow returns. To take a look at this in closer detail, this is at 11 a.m. tomorrow when the winds out of the east are expected to peak. The much higher pressure anomalies east of the Cascades and then a clear as day low pressure anomaly here off the coast of Oregon, with some of this spreading into the lowlands of western Washington. This is going to create a vacuum effect that pulls the wind through the mountain gaps in order to create an equilibrium from high pressure to low pressure. Switching back to the NAM 3KM high-res model, these are surface level winds and streamlines, showing winds picking up out of the north around the Puget Sound this afternoon around 6 p.m. or so. And then those gradually die out, but then watch as the winds switch to out of the east here and really start to pick up here. This shows 21 mile per hour sustained winds up at Snoqualmie Pass, 15 miles per hour here near Stevens Pass, 14 miles per hour at Stampede Pass. And then these will last for quite a number of hours in the afternoon time. Even has a lot of these sustained winds spreading all the way down to the I-405 corridor. And as you go farther north, down towards the Stillaguamish Delta and the Skagit River Delta as well. Then as we see this surface frontal feature move in, watch how quickly the winds switch back to onshore. We get a strong westerly surge coming out of the Strait of Juan de Fuca, followed by a strong surge out of the Strait of Georgia, coming down through the strait on Wednesday night. These are maximum wind gusts over the next 60 hours, also courtesy of the NAM 3KM, and it wants to bring some wind gusts even as high, look down here, 58.5 miles per hour for some areas of I-90 between the pass and North Bend, and areas of 50 plus mile per hour wind gusts near the Stevens Gap as well, some areas downstream along Highway 2. Now, this does bring some wind gusts upwards of 34 miles per hour down to Renton. So any areas south and east of Renton will need to be on standby for potential strong easterly winds over the next 24 to 36 hours. This model run has peak wind gusts between 4 a.m. and 2 p.m. around the foothills. Switching gears to the national blend of models showing potential 24-hour max temperatures around western Washington. A lot of areas of mid to upper 80s all around the I-5 corridor from Bellingham all the way down to the Columbia River. This shows 89 degrees for Toledo, 87 for Chehalis, 86 Olympia, 84 Shelton, 84 for Bremerton, 86 around the Seattle area, 84 in Everett, and 87 in Arlington. Watch how quickly the temperatures pick up around western Washington as soon as these winds start. This is at 6 a.m. tomorrow. And watch how rapidly we go into the 70s. We're already in the mid to upper 70s around most areas around noon tomorrow. And then we top out in the mid to upper 80s by 5 p.m. Then we rapidly start to drop off as we go into nighttime. These are surface level humidity values starting at 11 a.m. today. And then watch as these winds pick up how much we dry out. See a lot of these brown contours down in the southwest interior as well as the central sound. And then we really dry out around Mount Rainier. as midnight on Wednesday. Then watch as this frontal feature starts to move in. It brings the humid temperature back in place of what the east wind pushed out. Upwards of 100% relative humidity at 11 p.m. on Wednesday at Olympia, if this model were to verify. Our focus then switches to the front that's expected to come in on Wednesday. So here's the area of low pressure near the surface, moving up north towards Haida, Kauai. This is tomorrow at 1 p.m. This is when we're going to be getting the east winds. And watch as this frontal feature starts to push along the coast and moves into the Puget Sound area by Wednesday night. Simulated radar reflectivity shows the outskirts of these showers along the front coming towards the coast Wednesday at 3 a.m., but not many of these showers are going to make it onto the coast. Just isolated shower activity before the front almost completely decimates before moving into the Puget Sound. So overall, for the Puget Sound tomorrow, we're not expecting any rainfall with this front. A lot of it will stay off the coast, with only minimal amounts making it onto the coast. Surface level winds look pretty lackluster with this frontal feature as well. We'll see the winds pick up out of both the straits around Vancouver Island, but not much for the Puget Sound and for the coast. Then as we switch over the wind gusts, notice how a lot of the stronger wind gusts stay well offshore and limited to the Strait of Georgia. So the final verdict is that for the frontal feature on Wednesday, the strongest winds should stay well off the coast and downstream of the Strait of Georgia and Strait of Juan de Fuca. See, once again, some of these winds are stretching all the way down to the South Sound out of the north. However, confidence on this is pretty low at this time. So overall, rather than a big rainmaker, really the only benefit of this frontal system is going to be to bring the temperatures down. And watch just how hard some of these temperatures crash between the 3-hour period. So this is showing downwards of -10 to -12 for a 2-meter temperature decrease between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. on Wednesday. Thank you all for tuning in to today's briefing. Be sure to check out Puget Sound Stormwatch on Patreon. And just as a heads up, we did eclipse 23,000 followers on Facebook, so I will be hosting a celebration live stream. Also go over some questions and answers based on the next 60 hours of weather or so on Facebook, so be sure to tune in if you have Facebook. Once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. This was Anthony with Puget Sound Stormwatch. We'll hopefully see you guys tomorrow.